we have with us in the studio Professor Estefano Zabadi, who is the Dean Postgraduate School of Bingham University. He's also a former provost of the Center for Strategic Research and Studies at the National Defense College. You're welcome to Sunrise City, Prof.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, you have heard there, Mr. Innocent Chukwuma. You also heard our former guest who says the lack of planning. What are your thoughts on the insecurity that has bedeviled Nigeria, especially in recent times?
Well, let me say I agree with them on the issue of lack of planning. Strategic plans are hardly there to guide institutions moving forward. You have 5-year plans, 10-year plans, and so on. The other one, for now, is that we have politicized everything in the country. Everything has been politicized, including, unfortunately, security. Now, when you look at whether it's the Boko Haram thing or all these herdsmen, or all this, we're not hearing about illegal miners and the violence that they are perpetrating and so on. These are things that in a normal country where institutions are working, institutions have values, have processes, have rules that govern their activities. All these things could have been anticipated and then measures put in place to address them as they came. And some of those measures will include the issues of capacity, which has been referred to. But we are not a country that grows institutions. We are a country that relies on this strong man or strong woman who is at the head to save the situation. It doesn't work like that.
Tell us about politicizing, because some people might say, maybe we don't know what that means. Maybe we don't know how we have politicized it, and so we're not conscious of it, and perhaps it could rear its head again.
Okay. We're talking about a situation where on every issue, you find not only one side, but two sides. There's a lot of division in the society, and on security in particular, all of us need to put our hands together. Whether you are in opposition or you are in government, security affects us all. I recall that when this Boko Haram thing started, even the elders in Borno told federal government, take your troops out of here. These are our sons, we'll talk to them. Right? And the noise from the opposition at that time was also not supportive of the fact that this country needs to fight insecurity as one. And no country fights divided like that will succeed. And that is what we have seen over the past 10 years or more. So the question of security affects everyone. And it will be irresponsible for any person to stay outside the effort that is being put in place to fight insecurity.
Let me take you up on that, because some people will say that, you know, the insecurity that have cropped up in recent times, you know, quite a number of them, they manifest in different ways, and perhaps not one solution will work for all of them. So perhaps there could be the argument that Boko Haram was politicized. What about kidnapping? I mean, aren't all Nigerians agreed that kidnapping is terribly bad and it affects almost all areas? Why is it that the measures that have been taken with regards to kidnapping have largely not succeeded?
Well, the issue of measures is also at another level. I agree with Chukwuma when he says that, look, we need to run inclusive, accountable governance at both the local, the state, and federal levels. Now, all we hear are what officials come on television or on radio and tell Nigerians this is what we are doing. Institutions are not even accountable within themselves. So when you have situations like that, and we talk about politicization, people who get into these things also point accusing fingers at opponents. This is where, you know, I'm coming from. And people are kidnapped and they say probably it's some politically motivated thing and so on. Now, I am saying that as a country, and any country, ought to take the issue of security of life and property seriously. But then you go to the root cause of insecurity.
What is the root cause?
The root cause has to do with the way the ordinary people of the country are not looked after, in this case, not even looked after. They are not looked after. Their needs are not met. The amount of poverty in the land now and the kind of despair you see is frightening.
But oftentimes, the people whose needs are not met, the people who are at the bottom end, are the ones who suffer the violence that is perpetrated, the most from the hands of this, marauders. Take a look at Zamfara, for instance. Are they attacking? They're not attacking the wealthy. They're attacking mostly the people that are at the bottom rung of the ladder. How can that be the reason for the kind of insecurity that we're currently seeing, when it's not even the people who are perpetrating these things against themselves?
Lack of inclusiveness in governance is a huge political issue. And in the country, you can't fight insecurity successfully without intelligence. And intelligence is built on the people. Now, a people that feel neglected, in fact, sometimes punished, will not cooperate with anyone who comes around in the name of being a security official. In other climes, you take care of them. From the borders to the hinterland, the people get their needs met. At least governments demonstrate, in terms of accountability, the efforts, genuine efforts they are making to alleviate the conditions of the people, to include them in the process of maintaining security. After all, they are also the first beneficiaries of security, if there's one, as they are the first victims of insecurity when it develops. But we have a country where you cannot, institutions of security have to keep begging to be assisted. And there's a lot of cynicism and sometimes even hostility towards even the security agencies. And my view is that if those people were given reasons why they must work with the institutions of government, they would do the right thing. That's a major issue in all these factors of kidnapping, because people know, they see, but they don't talk because they think they have nothing, there's nothing there for them. And you have a situation where governors sit down as individuals. They run these states. You have the legislature, you have the judiciary, but if the governor is not in the state, everything waits until he comes, or he governs by a remote process. I mean, that cannot be a recipe for good security arrangement in the country.
And a lot of people will agree with you on that. But, the question I think I was trying to pinpoint is, why is it that when things like this happen, we say, oh, it's because the economy is bad, or it's because there's poverty in the land. What is the correlation between poverty and the level of insecurity that we're seeing? Especially since a lot of people are good people, and they usually would not tend to crime or criminality when things are bad. A lot of people will still do the work that they're doing, even though they complain that this is not yielding as much as it ought to yield. Yeah. What exactly then is the correlation between poverty and the level of criminality we're seeing?
Yeah, there is no simple answer, but all these things are also related. For instance, there is the saying that a hungry man is an angry man. Somebody who is desperate for food to feed his family or her family would do things that they would normally not have even imagined they could do to get that food on the table, and so on. And often that leads to bad things, bad behavior. So, but if they had at least what we see them from day to day, some behaviors will not be contemplated by them. That's where you see the connection between poverty and insecurity.
It's not more about capacity of the state to prosecute or to deal with bad behavior.
No, we're talking, the capacity of the state should be directed towards providing for the needs of the people. You begin from there, and that will, in fact, now convert the people into resources for managing security efficiently. So it is the misdirection of resources and all that has created this situation. I mean, you say majority of people are good. That is true. So if they have what they need, we're not talking about people having enough for their greed, if there's ever anything like that. But basic needs are not met. Look at all the sectors of the of society, education, health. Look at our roads and so on. Everything is just not adding up to what you would call a decent living for ordinary Nigerians. And when you have situations like that, then you're converting them into, if you like, enemies of the state indirectly. And when you also have people who have found their way to power, behaving, as lords of some manner, and they give. In fact, you hear the governor has donated this to this community. Whose money is it? Governor cannot donate, and there's a House of Assembly in the state. Nobody question. You can't use public funds like that. But we are in a situation where you just get there and you do as you like, and the rest of the people are helpless. So helpless people will take desperate measures. So don't waste your time trying to appeal to them. And people will now sort themselves out at individual levels. That makes it even more difficult to get to organize them for good action.